The hell?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. We got a special show for you tonight on a Saturday stream of Keeping It Shrimple with LRB, Lucas Bretz. Applause. And of course,
thank you.
Of course, Brian from Motor City is joining us this time because he's not working. He just made a big old rant about taking off of work just to be with Lucas so he could get some brownie points. But you know, we all know.
I like brownies.
I like brownies.
I like brownies. No peanuts. No peanuts.
I look forward to having some fun, man. I do. I think we're going to have a good time and ask you some questions that may or may not deal with shrimp. And hopefully we can squeeze it all in. I don't know how long you got to hang out with us. What do you think?
We'll see how it goes.
All right, there you go. I like that answer.
If we don't fish and burn an hour.
Well, at least, you know, it takes Brian 30 minutes to ask a question. So we definitely got that.
You got to dissect it, though. If you don't ask it properly, then it's a waste of time. But if you take as long as me, then you're like, oh, my gosh, I need something to drink. And, you know, so it gets a little worn out.
I got you. Let me get my other screen set up just in case.
Already.
In case I got to knock out some trolls. There we go.
Oh, yeah. The trolls have been bad lately. Woo.
Yeah, they have.
The what? The trolls?
Trolls, yeah. Just coming on there, they're like Russian names, and then they just say a bunch of whatever.
Or whatever they are.
Huh.
Yeah,
I haven't been getting those. Weird.
Well, do you do membership only on your chat? Or do you leave it open?
No, I leave it open for everybody.
I mean, subscriber only. I think that's the mode.
Yeah,
no. It's open for the whole public.
That to try to keep the trolls at bay.
I don't ever like ban comments or anything like that. Or I like to have a free speech forum for sure.
Now you do everything on your phone, right?
Do what?
You do everything on your phone, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that hard to see?
No.
Well,
not really.
No. When I saw you last, I showed you my phone and showed you the pictures that Luke takes of the moon, and you said you're going to get a new phone. Now, I heard you say you got a new phone. What'd you get?
I did. I got the new iPhone, though.
Oh, he's an Apple baby.
I did. I did.
Dang. What do you think of it?
Like the video quality and everything is awesome, but the file sizes are ridiculous. So just for like a 5-minute video, if you want like the highest quality that you could get out of it, it's like 20-30 gigabytes.
Wow.
It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, huge files for just a little compared to what the old phone did.
Well, see, I'm thinking about going to Samsung.
Whether I want to continue making a bunch of videos with this phone or go back to the other one. I mean, the quality on here is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think they make the old phones just look worse, too, over time.
Right.
With, like, the updates and stuff.
On purpose.
So you'll buy the new one. Because I just slowly noticed, like, the camera and stuff getting worse than that one. It's not because this one's so much better. They must be tweaking something.
My buddy said he works for AT&T, and he's a big boss there. And he said about 3 to 5 years of they make it with all the updates. It's not what you have on the phone, but it's the updates that start to slow the phone down. You think, oh, my phone's getting bad. Well, it's all their updates.
Yeah.
So he said, if you can get rid of those updates or, wipe out all the old ones and everything, then but it's the new updates that drag them out and slow them up. So
yeah, I actually got a couple of the iPhone X's that I use just for shooting videos, and I don't ever update them for that reason.
Right. Yeah, that's what he said slows them up. Well, too bad we didn't get you over to the Samsung, but I mean,
yeah.
I have an Apple, but
I mean, having a Mac computer, it's the environment and the way it's linked up. It just the ecosystem of it all makes it easy for my workflow to be more efficient for sure.
Right. Yeah. Apple's that, we all know it has been. I mean, I used to be an Apple baby too. But then I was welding a bridge one day, the blue water bridge that goes to Canada, and a guy come down and he says, "Oh, hey, I'm going to watch this movie today." I said, "Today?" I said, "Didn't it just come out like 2 days ago or a day ago?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I watched it on my phone." I said, "You watched it on your phone?" He's like, "Yeah," and he showed me the app he got. I was like, "Oh, I'm getting out of Apple. Forget this," And I've been a Samsung guy ever since, But yeah, Apple was my first love. So
see, I used to be on the Microsoft platforms before, like maybe just a few years ago did I get on the Apple platform. I grew up with like MS-DOS shell and all that, the command prompts.
I was going to ask you a question. So I noticed it a long time ago. When you say hello world, is that reference to technology programming classes and stuff? Because every programmer's first program is called Hello World.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's just hello world. Just say hi to the world.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. I was like, maybe he did a little programming stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know how, like, a little bit of program, but just very little. I couldn't, like, write up a whole, like, some kind of software for something or anything like that. I couldn't code all that. I played some games where you had to like punch in your own coding and stuff like that, which has taught me a little bit, but that's about it.
Right.
My stepmom was a computer programmer growing up, so she taught me quite a bit about all that.
Are you a gamer? Do you play games?
Yeah. I'm a gamer to the point where it's problematic, and I can't really play games much anymore. Just because when I do, like, I go all in, like full deep. Recently, one of the reasons, and I have mentioned it on my channel, was I was playing a game this last couple of years. Right. Now I'm done with that. I've conquered that to its max limit. Like you run like states and you run alliances and stuff, and so you lead like hundreds of people. Eventually, I led the whole state, and like I was leading them against other states and this, that, and other. And you're talking about like thousands of people. But I did it to a point to where I didn't control the power. Like I was a dictator or nothing. Like it was all free will. Like I pretty much took the crown and smashed it, and everybody kind of lived their own lives, did what they had to do within the game and all that. And didn't make it, because a lot of people, they get into those alliance games and they'll try to make it to where they want to dictate everything that you do within playing the game, but people are trying to play that game for fun, and a lot of leaders forget that and stuff. But anyways, I get deep into it.
But see, I'm just saying, this is a side of you that I hear over, last couple of years and stuff. I hear you every once in a while let something out, but when you're on your stream, it's about certain things and certain topics. So it's good to go, well, I remember he mentioned something like that. Well, let's ask him about it. Now that he's not on his stream, quote, he can relax and, talk about everyday stuff that he does, that he is a normal human being, even though he has, utmost amounts of tanks, he's no different than anybody else.
Yeah. Definition of normal is definitely subject for sure.
Well, we have our own definition of normal.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
Just look around. Look at our backgrounds.
Right. To my kid, this is normal, right?
Yeah. That's like when I told him I went upstairs, I was rushing because we got done pulling some shrimp. I ran upstairs. I said, Luke, when you get a chance, come on. I said, we got a special guest tonight. He said, yeah. I said, yeah, LRB's on. He looked at me. I said, the guy on the poster on your door. He said, really? I said, yeah, because I had them both here. And yeah, he didn't play that. He came down and said, you're giving me one of them. I said, all right. So
that's cool.
Yeah, he said, awesome. I'll be on in a little bit.
Brian's showing his fanboy.
Those posters, that artwork is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you know who did that artwork?
Yeah, Alex, right?
Yeah, Alex, Secret History Living in Your Aquarium. Now, what's really cool about it? Well, cool and not cool, just the fact that it happened to him. But One of them was before he got struck by lightning, and then the other one was after he got struck by lightning.
Oh, so is there?
So,
I'm not looking at them both, so there could be like an artistic difference, you know?
Yeah, so it changes
Yeah,
that
the
whole
second
wiring
one.
and infrastructure of just the vision of artistry. I think there was another artist that had something similar, like as they went through a certain issue that they had, like their art would change along with it.
For sure.
Which is really wild.
Yeah, that's typical. I mean, it happens to us musicians as you evolve, things happen. It's like after my surgery, the type of music I write is different than what I used to write or want to write or whatever. It's not a whole lot, but it's definitely, I come from a different perspective. So of course my writing's different.
Oh yeah, perspective can change your world just like that, like in an instant. If you can let that perspective click and it clicks, and it's like your whole vision of the world like can really change just in a flash, in a little bit of atom, just a tiny little bit.
Yep.
It's wild.
Hey, well, then that creates a question for you. Has I don't know how to say it. Has becoming LRB changed your life?
Oh, for sure.
Meaning a businessman, but also someone just like me who's excited to, have a conversation, to meet you, because I mean, it's like we like the same stuff, but it's like you've taken it to a level that a lot of people want to go to. So it's like you're not just Lucas in a living in an area with a family and got a day job, and it's different. I mean, I didn't want to call you like movie stars along those lines, but in fact, in the aquatics world, you've been able to do something like other people, but there's not many. There's not a lot of people that, you're like a Donald Trump, like a, type deal where you've taken things to another level business wise, but also you do the same thing as everyone else. And,
you're like Metallica in the music world.
Kind of. Yeah. And it's like, you got long hair, long beard, you wear your hat backwards, but you do good. It's like, seriously, because
my ego is really enjoying this for sure.
Well, no, I'm serious. Back when we was kids, I mean, I'm 40. I'm not that old, but back when we was kids, when you had long hair and stuff, people were like, cut your hair. You're not going to turn into nothing.
I used to get that a lot.
Yeah.
When I first started off my channel, a lot of people would say, cut your hair. But you know what? Whatever, dude.
Right.
A lot of times they're just trying to razz you and see how you deal with it and stuff like that.
But that's what I'm trying to say is you've shown everyone that being whatever, a nerd, a fish geek, anything you want to call it, you can be anything you want in life and have a great life, and nothing can stop you. So
if there's a will, there's a way for sure. Yeah. And if you put your mind to it, your will to it, and it's what you really want to do, like at those tough times, you'll do it because that's what you want to do and you don't want to do something else.
Well, yeah, because
when you're forced to make those decisions, you figure more and more out about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You gain more and more perspectives on life. Like self-growth is actually like, I was playing a video game, but that video game for me was also self-growth in myself as well. Like it's kind of like my continuing ed in a sense, because it does put me on a different platform where I'm dealing with the public differently and just getting out of that box of where I was with the YouTube channel and just what I was doing. Same thing like whenever I won the awards for shrimp. Like I tried my best to not just be known as a shrimp guy, because that's not what I was just into. Like I kept a lot of plants and a lot of fish way before I even kept shrimp. And I just happened to keep the shrimp and win the awards, and that all kind of helped. But yeah, as time evolved, I evolved for sure. And I'm big into just learning more about the world, how it's designed, because I also got a degree in design. And anything in this world has a connection to design. Everything. There's nothing that doesn't. So when you start looking at all these aspects and perspectives and understanding a lot of how it works, like it can be troubling just because of some stuff you do learn, but knowledge is power as well. And it is what you do with it too.
Yeah, because
I feel like having the YouTube channel definitely allows me to share something that not a lot of people get the opportunity to do, because I do have hundreds of aquariums. So yeah, you play with aquariums. Some people play with aquariums, they have a certain amount, but when you're doing it by the hundreds and you're like really having to get this perspective of Mother Nature and how to do it easier, because there really is no other way, because there's only so much time in a day, this, that, and the other. But there's so many perspectives and stuff that I have evolved from and been open-minded to. And attitude is everything too. Attitude will take you a long way for sure.
Well, I like what you said there, because that's something that I try to keep an open mind to, about learning something all the time. You know, no matter what, I don't care how much I've done it or how much I think I know. There's a whole lot more that I don't know. And so I like to learn by doing. I like to do things. Sometimes I go, well, they say you're not supposed to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways to see why, and see what kinds of problems, and then learn how to correct it, or maybe understand what's going on in their ecosystem much better.
Right, because when you know that why and what for and all that, you may learn another way to modify it, or another way around it, because you get a different way of perspective, of brain onto it. And that's what's created a lot of my success as well, is by going outside of the box and trying it and trying to understand, like, why do we do it like this? And because a lot of it is regurgitated through time. Like, people have been doing this and this because people have told them to do this and this and this, and they don't know any better. Which, like, keeping it natural like this really is nothing new.
Yeah.
No.
It's really just real in-depth, on-hands discovery of how it really truly works in a time when it's not really discussed or talked about. Because back in the day, they used to keep it like this all the time.
Yeah, they didn't have all the fancy stuff.
Right. And then everything's run by corporations right now. I could get in some deep talk to where a lot of people probably won't like what I say, just because it hits certain buttons. Yeah, but
okay, so that brings up another question though, because like, you develop your style. Everybody develops their style of how they deal with their aquariums, but they also have taken ideas from everybody else, because we all do the same thing. We learn from each other, different ways, different perspectives. How do you think that some of that change in perspective involves or is dependent on being what I call in tune with what's going on in your aquarium? Not the sciences and the numbers and the data, but the actual just being in tune with your aquarium. Do you think people achieve that kind of skill set to where you kind of get in tune? Like, you're so in tune with your aquariums and all your containers. How is that going to affect you changing it up and being in Florida, changing the water parameters, everything that you have that changes? How is that? Does that mess with your little bit of skill being engaged or in tune with your aquariums?
So yeah, it will change the tuning, because the water down there is like 1100 hardness, but it's soft. So it's like hard and soft water.
Right.
So it's a bit ridiculous. So that's all going to be a little bit of learning and knowing and understanding for sure to do that. And luckily I do understand water enough to where it doesn't frighten me. Good point. As far as like being in tune to your fish room, what your tanks are doing, and just knowing, like, through the history of your tank, and if you know the water and how it reacts to itself. Like, I've had this whole fish room hard water at 400, 500 TDS, but it was hard water, not soft hard water, to the point where it was hard with mineralization, but also hard in alkalinity.
Right.
So it would mineralize a lot. And I actually started running just nothing but soft water in here. And I could stabilize and actually eat out that mineralization naturally without having to scrape it by just softening up the water and using that over time. But then eventually my guppies and shrimp started breeding less, my neos, because there wasn't as much KH buildup that used to be in there.
Right.
Which they really need and they really like to have. And then I started going back to an in-between, like a soft. Now everything's kind of like in-between, neutral, maybe a little hard, maybe a little soft. Not really one extreme to another.
Now, how much do you keep of soft water fish, or that you have to keep straight RO, or you don't keep any Caridina anymore, do you?
I don't keep any Caridina just because they're slow to breed. To really get them to breed, you got to feed them those real fine foods. I don't know. It just seemed like I always had success if I was feeding them that stuff with the bee pollen in it, like more natural foods. And they're just, the care level was a little bit too much by keeping the water soft. And so having as many tanks as I have, I've got to kind of find a median ground with what I keep, because if I'm going to manage it, I want to manage it properly. And time is always an issue when it comes to having this many aquariums. But you do become in tune with them, and you do kind of, you can tell what they're doing by what you've done with the water that you've added and just where it's been, catappa leaves, if you add stuff like that.
Right.
But when I get down to Florida, I don't know. I may get into Caridina because I do have the softer water, and I do want like a rain catch harvest system. And if I have enough space, then I would like to get into Caridina more. I probably won't get into like way crazy with it, but keep a few that I really do like the shadow pandas.
Right.
And even just the regular crystals are really cool too.
That's what I'm selling today. He's got he calls me for them all the time because I get really, really blue ones, you know, and
nice.
I have some of the, I don't know, they're not calls, but they're full-bodied shadow with the little black on the head, you know, and, you know, that they throw those sometimes. I said, look, I'm going to put 3 in here for your tanks and back. You know, you can, he's like, I ain't getting rid of them. But look, I have a really important question for you before I forget. I think it's really important with you moving and stuff. With all of the stock that you have, with everything that you have right now, everything that you sell, if you sell this house with everything in it, you're not going to have this. Like, nobody's going to be able to call you and say, hey, Lucas, I want to get this or that. You're going to be like, well, you're going to have to wait. So people need to order from you like now before you move, right? And get everything that they can, because like, I need, when I was in Chicago, I said, hey, I'll be back to get your A grade or your #1 blue shrimp. I didn't come back in time until the end when we took the picture and your stuff was all shut down. I was like, man, I can't ask him to go over there and get them now. So I was never able to get your A-team shrimp, and I need them. But if you move, you're not going to have your A-team shrimp. You're going to have to start all over, and, you know.
Well, I'll have them. So what I'll do is I'll take some of my stuff with me for sure. Like, I'm not going to take all of my A-team shrimp because it only takes 2 to really tango.
Right.
Like, there will be a waiting transition probably. Yeah. But I do have a lot of, like, of the stuff that I sell. It's grown crazy. So I've got a lot. I've been hoarding. I really have been hoarding a lot of stuff. So there is plenty for me and whoever gets it that everybody will be well off.
But if they order now, they'll be able to get it. But if you wait until you move, then you're kind of
it's a gamble. It's a gamble.
Yes.
I may say it may be a month or 2, but that's really a gamble because moving to a new house.
People need to order everything out between now and before you move to get it if they want it now, or they could wait for a few months, if not longer.
Right.
Yeah. So I need some of those shrimp. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Selling. So when it comes to this house and selling it, like, we kind of are in a position though to where if we don't sell this with all the tanks, then we're almost kind of breaking really close to even on our loan. So then if we do move down there, building a fish room is going to be a little hard. Like, I'm going to have to take over the garage. I'm going to have to, like, build an instant lean-to against the garage.
Oh, for sure.
And have, like, outside tanks and all kinds of stuff. So that's going to be a lot tougher. But if we can sell it with all the tanks, which is a amazing opportunity for anybody who's in the hobby or who wants to, like, really hit the ground running, or
I'm trying to win the lottery.
Right.
Hey, it's no joke. I was driving to work the other day, probably about 4 days ago, and he was talking about it. He's like, man, I'd be the one that could take that house and just do so much with it. I was like, seriously, so many people that do it, but the thing is he loves the water changes don't bother him. I mean, they don't me either, but he's single. He's got everything.
I love the lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. So yeah, I mean, if you could finance a house, I'll sell or finance the business.
Land contract.
I wish, Lucas. I really do.
Right.
My heart surgery kind of put a little dimple in my bank account. My finance.
Yeah. Those medical bills are brutal. I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's rough.
It's rough. It's
a rough
big
system
bill too. It's enough for me to go, what?
To play in.
Almost gave me another heart attack seeing the bill.
Well, yeah, that's so. Gosh, if for some reason you don't sell the house with the tanks, that's like multiple trips in itself from.
Yeah, and just moving is going to be costly because just getting the U-Haul down there is, what was it? I can't remember if it was 1,700 or 2,700. Either way, it was a lot.
Yeah, and you can. Well, what you would probably have to do is you would have to get some friends to come over, load them up, and then drive them all at once and leave them down there at a U-Haul. Because you don't want to keep coming back for it. That'd kill you.
Right. It would take a couple trips. Like everything else that we have. We also got 6 storage units too. So I'm not even sure how we're going to smash all this together.
Oh my God. You need to just buy a school.
Yeah. Well, Goodwill will definitely be getting a lot.
You need a semi.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you need a semi.
Yeah. It's gonna be a mission. Hopefully.
Look at him now. Look at him.
Yeah,
He's like, man, I forgot about the storage unit. Oh no.
Oh man, I forgot about the storage units. Crap.
Yeah.
Right. Well, see what I'm worried about. And we're also torn in, like, we're contingent to the house that we're buying is if we sell our house.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, that's why ideally we just want to sell all the tanks, the business, everything else. That way we could start new. It would just be easier logistically that way.
Yeah. Definitely.
But if it comes to the time where somebody doesn't just buy the house, that we do put it on the MLS and go through a realtor and all that, and it gets warm enough, I may even just kick that thing off the market and live here for the next year.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, a lot of reason why I want to escape is just the winter time, because it keeps me stuck. Like, we'll definitely still be looking to move down there. I'd hate to lose the house that we're looking at too, because that market down there, I don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
Oh no.
And,
my buddy moved from Minnesota, I think. You probably know the guy, but anyways, his family and his father's family, they just packed up, bought brand new houses, brand spanking new, right on the whatever, coming off the lake, the water comes through and stuff. And I was like, wow. He's like, and my dad lives next to me, but he said they sold their house and bought this brand new build and everything for the same price. So they sold this and bought a brand new house, and their house was however old, in Jacksonville. I was like, dang, but beautiful stuff. But they said within the next 5 years, everything was going to like double or something. So he's like, if you want to come down, do it now. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that, but
yeah. Yeah, that's why we're trying to get down there, because even like the southwest area that we're looking at, they're building a solar city up there.
Oh, wow.
And then they're also just Fort Myers and Cape coral, or it's both like merged together. So they're just both growing outwards, and land out there, like there's only so much because the rest is covered with preserves. So the value of property will just keep going up and up over there. And if it goes underwater, well, dang, you got an island house going on and all that business too. So either way.
So you were talking about your spring water and that you have some spring-fed ponds and everything. Do you know what kind of water it is? Is it hard, soft? Is it?
So it's hard. So the water that I was testing was the well water, which is the same water, and it's 1100 TDS, but it's soft. Wow. Like the mineral buildup on the equipment and stuff, you don't see any of that. So it's still soft, but I don't know if it's from the salinity of the ocean, and then with all that limestone that's under there. It's really weird water, which is great for growing plants and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's peacock bass living in it. There's tilapia living in it. Largemouth bass living in it. So, I mean, I'm guessing many of my fish should be able to live in it because most of mine are oriented towards harder water. And then I could always get a RO system and catch rainwater and do it that way too.
Is that RO system that you have, is that hooked up to, can you like use that throughout the house other than just with your fish tanks? Is it like hooked to the whole home?
No, so I don't have that hooked up to like the
shower
heads and the sink and stuff like that.
But could it be like, I mean, if someone was to look at your home and, I mean, you have thousands of dollars just in your water system there, you know, and RO, could that be something that like a plumber could come in and hook up special stuff to like the bathroom so they could, you know, get.
Yeah, if you wanted that, you could easily hook it up. Yeah, I haven't had the real need to because you got to have that machine running whenever you want the RO running. Okay. And you'd have to put some kind of trigger or switch on it to run whenever you like turn on your shower faucet, which I don't know how you'd manage that, but you can. I'm sure there's technology out there for it.
Yeah, because they put them in like, you know, some people like to have like RO water to drink and they put those systems under their kitchen sink and stuff. Yeah. That's why I was asking, you know, with your house, you have all these updates and upgraded things done to it. You do for tanks, but they can actually just be switched around a little bit and added to the home too, you know? So,
yeah.
Don't you have a electric water heater and all that? I mean,
I do.
Heater. I mean,
it's a gas tankless water heater. And then we've got a electric regular water heater that we just put in.
And you got two systems, right? You got the RO system and then tap water system.
Yeah. Kind of. And then I can blend them together. So with the RO machine, it's a 3,000 gallon an hour.
Right. I heard you saying that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Crazy.
But it'll flow real well, almost like tap water. And I got it on a remote system. So whenever I need RO, I'll turn on the valves that go through the carbon block, then goes through the RO and then RODI. And then it just goes up into whatever tank. And then I can just hit the remote whenever I'm needed to run and need to shut it off. So I don't have to run to it each time to shut it off.
Now, when you redesign your system, are you going to do it the same, or do you already have improvements in mind to where you'll be all fancy like Corey and have it all on a tablet and everything, automatic?
Yeah. No, I don't know if I'll have it like that. I mean, I like the system that I run it just because I have more control with it. Right. And something about that seasoned water too. If you're doing too much water changes, it's not the same as like that natural seasoned kind of water. Maybe you could do it where you're doing like littler water changes where you're not moving as much of it, but I don't know. I don't think I'll automate it. Probably keep it simple.
Keep it simple. There you go. Keep it shrimple, man.
Yeah. Keep it shrimple.
Hey, is there a reason, or not a reason, but well, maybe a reason. when do you know, or when do you think of, I mean, you can see it in fish and stuff, but is there a reason why you would do a water change? I mean, because I hear you at times say, well, I haven't changed the water in this in 6 months, and they're just swimming around so happy as can be. Is there really I mean, if you don't overfeed and, you know, stuff like that, I mean, yeah, you might have mosses or plants in there, and that's another thing. Are plants better than mosses to pick up stuff in the water column? But is there really a need to change water if you're not abusively feeding and you're you know, you don't have ammonia in the water and everything? I mean, is there enough oxygen to last for so long? I mean, 6 months with no water change, that lets you know that, I mean, when does oxygen really run out? Does it?
Right.
You know?
I don't know. I think your tank will talk to you for sure. Like, definitely read your tank. But yeah, I don't know. Some of these tanks, it's like you start messing with them, and then that's when you're causing more problems.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it depends on what you're going for. Like, if I'm trying to get a plant to grow, that's my main focus over the fish or something like that, then those water changes are going to definitely help that plant grow because that reoxygenation. And like certain fish, I find like breed out better and grow out better if you do change the water. But some of them, they just don't even care.
Yeah, because I'm like 6 months, geez, with all these shrimp tanks, and I've cut way back water. I really don't know when I've done a water change last, maybe a month ago, but I've cut back on water changes, and I'm feeding like every 2 days. I'm skipping because it's just like I'm noticing that you know, algae are disappearing, and they're not even monos, but algae are disappearing. Things are clearing up. You know, the tanks just seem like they're brand new when I'm not doing water changes. They're doing all the work for me.
Yeah, so what's going on, and this is where a lot of people end up messing up their tanks by like cleaning their gravel vac, and this, that, and the other, is they're messing up all their microbiology. So when you're not changing that water as heavy or as much, all that microbiology that lives within it isn't changing as well. So it starts balancing itself out. When you do water changes too, say you got hard water, and you're adding that mineralization in there, and it's alkaline water, so that mineralization doesn't break down, it just sits there. Algae could feed off that. That could actually change different bacterias. It can change a lot. Same with different oxygen levels can change different bacterias and microbiology. And anytime that you're disturbing that microbiology, that's where you're really breaking your cycle. All our balance and cycles really come from that microbiology. And that's why I don't like, even though I don't use filters would never be a bad thing because they do hold a lot of that microbiology. Just don't clean them like to the point that it's spotless.
I like your fluval. I like your fluval upstairs. You're like, I've had this thing for 9 years and I never even cleaned it. It's
right.
Drip. It's screaming for help. Help me. And he's like, I just unplug it, plug it back in, and it starts spitting out again. I'm like, right. Oh my God. It's going out. We can't breathe.
Well, it does have a primer pump on it, so I can,
that's what it is. You primer pump. Yeah, shove all that.
So I never had to. Yeah, I just primer. Oh, going a little slow. Out goes the crud.
Hey, kick it a couple
and
times.
Stuff eat up the crud, and
tap it on the wall.
Right.
Hit it with the air tank.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, I got a couple more, then I'll let Pop Shrimp jump. They're just here. Plants. Is there one that's better for a tank? Plants or mosses? Does one do better than the other, or they both do the same?
Now, when it comes to plants, this is how you got to think about it: is all in the biomass, and then how fast they grow and how fast they'll eat mineralization or excess nutrients like ammonia, nitrates, everything else. So, like your pearlweed, which is kind of like a moss, but more like a plant.
Got that.
Yeah. And it grows like fast to moderately fast. Same with like guppy grass, kind of in the same department. if you're having a lot of battles with excess nutrients, say it comes from the substrate or something like that, that you just got to absorb it to keep from your slow growing plants to get algae on. That will help absorb that stuff. Now, when it comes to moss is also in that kind of same field, but it depends on how much you have as well. So same with both types of plants. The biomass of its ability to actually pull out those nutrients to give you that balance within your tank, if that makes sense. Because a lot of times, like we get so much from just the water change, like the remineralization or phosphates that may be in it. Because like during the summertime, you'll have algae issues in lakes all over the place. Like that gets into the water as well, and it comes into your fish tank as well. And then wintertime, usually the water that you're getting is more diluted because it's drier out. It's not as wet. It's not as diluted as it would be in a higher water situation. So just think about that as well with the season and what plants that you're trying to get to balance that tank if you're trying to go from that, like really battle that algae with the plants over. Because the trick is to feed and treat your plants over the algae with that excess.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm using the plant food and it's working. I see that the plants or the mosses, are starting to overpower in most tanks, and they're starting to get back. Because, like I told you before, I have so much to wash the tank. My 10 gallons are slammed front to back, sides, all the way around. But other ones have mosses in them, and they're starting to come back. And, I got a lot of the hookeris everywhere and everything. So I'm trying to feed those plants to, suck up everything in the water. But I'm like, would plants be better than a moss?
And that all depends on the plant too, is what kind of water they like. So like your subwasser tang and your hookeri, it actually prefers being the softer frond. It actually prefers more of a softer water to be able to uptake that mineralization, opposed to like a Java moss or your regular like Taiwan moss and stuff, like the harder frond mosses.
Yeah.
They actually love more mineralization and I mean, they do well with soft water too. They'll do well with that, but they do like a lot more mineralization or take more mineralization than like the subwasser tang and hookeri will. So a lot of plants are different. And if you look out in the woods, you'll see like these plant wars and stuff that go on. Like certain plants uptake certain metals and certain bicarbonates, this, that, and the other. Like it's really wild how deep all that can really get.
And one last one. This is for my wife. We're moving the figure 8s over to a 40 breeder, but with the heat, with keeping puffer, because it says keep them warm, so we keep them a little warm. But what's a really good? Now I have a Nubius and I have a Crip that do really good. But what else is good to keep in warm water? What does good in warm water for a plant? I'm sure not a lot, but.
Really, most of your plants will do well in warm water. It's many that don't do well in cooler water. There's not many plants that you could really overheat that are in the hobby.
Now, if they melt back, that's just because they're getting used to it, and then they'll spring back.
So, which plant do you have melting back?
I don't know the name of it.
Because that can depend on why it's melting back.
All right, give me 2 seconds, and I'll show it to you. This is just out of one of the tanks, but I'm not as schooled as you when it comes to certain things, so I'll have to show you. I don't know here, so I don't drip it on my computer.
That
upside down.
Like a what the?
I'm hanging it up.
Lymphnophilia aromatica, maybe. Is that Lymphnophilia?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a Lymphnophilia. So the best thing, like you got that softer water, just plant that in there. It could just be transitioning to the newer light. Sometimes different lighting can cause those to melt some of their older leaves back, and then they'll start growing as long as you're seeing new growth, you're good to go.
Yeah, because we
So
went
are you seeing new growth on that stem plant?
Yeah, we went from here because I keep I keep my booths and plants over here, and then we pulled out, put it in the 32 gallon. Well, you know, they have those BioCubes, they have those lights on them because they're supposed to be like salt water. Well, now we're going to take everything out of that, put it in the 40 breeder, which has the fluval lights on it that control.
That'll be really good for that plant.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
good.
that'll be really good.
We're going to do it today. So nice. I'm going to go and, but we're moving them over there because we want to give them, you know, a lot of room to play and stuff. So the 32 is cool, but, you know, they're going to get a little bigger and we don't want them battling. So, you know.
Yeah. I used to keep that same plant in a discus tank.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, that was a hot tank.
Oh, yeah. My breeding discus, they're down. The mama's up front. I put the dad over there because they started battling, banging each other. And I was like, no, guys just want to breed some more and you're going to eat all the babies again. You know, it's just, oh, God. But, yeah, we love discus. And that's why I got into shrimp because I used to breed the discus and sell them. And then when that slowed up, this was about as colorful as discus. And then, you know, after a while, I just learned, you know, hey, look, I know so much about fish. I want to bring fish back. So that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing fish back, you know, my shellies and everything. And, you know, just having fun like that. Seeing what you do, you know, really helps guide me, you know, in ways, you know, so to bring back all that happiness and fun again. So, all right, go ahead, Papa Shrimp.
All right, let's see. I got some good ones for you.
Get 'em out there.
One of the first ones was that, and I know you probably don't get asked this much, but
ask it already.
I had to throw it out there, man. You know, what do you do to treat planaria?
Oh my God! For real.
Tropical colored granules.
right. Give them more granules.
I had to do that, man.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Would it be a live stream without it, right?
Right? No, actually, I wanted to show you this moss that I have and see if you recognize it or can tell me what it is.
Okay. I love. Looks good.
What does it look like?
Christmas moss.
Christmas moss. That's what I was going to say. I got some here. I always was told it was Christmas moss.
But it looks completely different from Christmas moss that I have that I got from you. It's
shoot, look out.
It's fluffier than the other Christmas moss. And normally Christmas moss looks like Christmas trees, but it's thin, you know, like what I have. This, I don't know if it's Christmas moss or not because
see, that's the thing about some of the mosses. You get them growing in different lights, and they can start looking completely different.
Okay, because kind of just like I said, I've had that moss, and I separated it from Java moss because I knew it wasn't Java moss. I could just tell. And,
you know what I do often?
What?
Sometimes if I can't tell which moss it is, and if it looks foreign, I just call it Taiwan moss.
I got a lot of
Taiwan Christmas peacock Java moss.
Peacock moss. Actually, that might be what that is. So peacock moss and Christmas moss can look really close to each other.
Glitch says miniature willow moss. I'm not sure about that.
No, willow moss has like a more spear-shaped frond. I did notice on the fronds that you had where they'd be long, but then you get that shorter one, which I think Taiwan even does that. But I don't know. It's all so confusing, really, to be honest. And I used to collect mosses off a guy that used to get them from all around the world. There's Vastek was his name. And I think he still does it, but when it was just the forums and stuff, he was trying to collect from everybody all over the world. And he would I always get fronds off him, and like even he would have such a hard time with them because like they can grow differently in different lighting situations to where they can start resembling another moss, and it could be the same type of moss, but maybe somebody calls it something different in a different area, and then that gets into the mix too. Because I've learned this from traveling around too. A lot of nature is the same, but like the names tend to be different too whenever you're talking different people from different places.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, makes a lot of sense. I was just curious because I'm working on trying to propagate it more, and it grows really well when I put it on top of the spider wood, like in that little video, and make little moss trees out of it. And it's bushing out, and I take a couple of pieces off and I put them on a different one, and it starts doing the same thing. And it's so pretty, but I've had really good luck with it when other times I put a moss in and I don't have so much luck. Especially trying to decipher whether it grows better in hard or softer water. And this one does
depend on how the moss wants to grow as well. So like pilo moss, I've learned that it'll actually try to run away from the light and it likes to climb. But then you have like your weeping moss where it wants to grow more downwards and wants to curl up more. So it all kind of depends on the moss as well. They have different behaviors too. Just like when you wash the woods, like you've got different plants, you got the vine plants, you've got the carpet plants, but they're all kind of interweaved doing their own thing. They even battle each other. Like it's really amazing, the plant world, and what really goes on that many of us don't even think about.
All right. Well, that's cool. And then, so the other one I wanted to definitely ask you. So let's say you were doing a focused breeding project on clown killifish or rocketfish. What would you think would be your minimum number of containers, tanks that you would be doing if you wanted to breed them in high numbers?
At high numbers, depends on how many high numbers, but really that kind of goes with your system. I would do, if I were trying to go with a high number with the system, is you'd have your couple of breeding tanks, depending on how many you really want to start producing, but then have like a bigger body of water, like maybe even a flat table, like a water table that you could keep the different generations in different containers. Actually, here, let me flip you over here real quick if I could figure out how to do that. Oh, not that one. Now, I did this the other day on somebody's. Do you guys know how to do this? Oh, here we go.
You're supposed to hit the little
circle with the
camera. There we go. All right. So, kind of like the same system as this. You see how this has a bigger volume of water? But you want something more open. If you had like a water table that was flat that you can just work in whenever, it doesn't matter. But I've been using these paint strainers where I can keep gens of different babies separated. You put them in systems like this. That way you got your water running volume through there. But you can even have live food in. You could be keeping Daphne in it, all kinds of stuff. This was actually going to be a wild rack kind of with all a bunch of different like fish collecting, egg collecting, and like more automated breeding. But you could float them in these and then just have more water. And then as they grow up, then you could even put them down here. And then whenever they're ready, scoop. I don't like to put fish that I'm selling in bigger tanks though, because one, it's harder to keep them or catch them. Yeah. But two, the person that's going to get them probably not going to keep them in that big of a tank. So saying this, if you have them ready to sell, maybe have some 20 gallons or something for that. That's the way I would do it, because I prefer my fish to go to a better home than what I grew them up into, than the other way around. If that makes sense too.
Oh, is that a 150 or a 180?
That's a 215.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. My bad. My mistake. Big boy.
Yeah. I like the big tanks. That's a big reason why I need more space for fish tanks. It's just more bigger tanks and just, I want to go bigger.
Are those strainers that you got in there got real small holes in them?
Do what? Yeah. So it's they have different microns on them. I got like 3 different microns.
Really?
From like a smaller to bigger, yeah.
Oh wow. So
yeah.
where do you get that? You can't get them at Home Depot, can you?
No, I order them online, so you can find them on Google, like a paint strainer, 5-gallon paint strainer.
Yeah, that's cool.
And should pop up.
Now, where did you get an idea like that? Where do you get these ideas?
I actually watch the Indonesians and the people who breed them, Thailand, all over the place, and the kind of stuff that they use. And then I kind of use that ideology towards some of the products that we have available to us. So it's just kind of like I'll look at like just small containers, just trying to find that right container to do a certain project or something like that, and then you end up stumbling across all kinds of wild stuff that you're like, oh, I could use that. Oh, I could use that. Oh, I could use that.
Yeah, that's where the hoarding comes in.
Right.
I saw you cleaning out that closet the other day. You put up that stream. You're like, oh God, yeah, I ain't seen this in years. How did this? Oh, I remember this. And I'm like, oh Lord.
Right. Yeah, that I never use. But even like this little tray. So you got like this tray here. I don't know if you're familiar with these. These go under like a washer dryer, or you can put a water heater or something in there to keep the leak from going too far, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be hard to plumb these up, and then you got a blackworm breeding tray.
Oh man. Yeah, because I started a blackworm tank because of you.
Right, and for fry, so like fry don't need very deep water. They use shallower water. I mean, imagine how many fries you could deal with in this.
God, probably 1,000.
Yeah.
Guppy fry.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a lot of stuff I've been kind of keeping to myself, like these projects and stuff, but I'll give you guys a little sneak peek of it.
Nah, I like that.
All right. You heard it here first on Papa Shrimp, Keeping It Shrimple with Motor City Aquatics and LRB. Dun, dun, dun.
So I was actually going to do like a blackworm breeding tray here. I was going to have those containers that I have, those plastic containers.
Yes, they use for your killifish.
Yeah, I don't have one in here for your viewers, but I was going to do a row of those. That way I could separate males and females, and then I'd have breeding tanks up here, which I was going to do custom tanks. That way I could pump the water through here, down here. So this would be like a sump.
Yeah.
It would sump through all of these, but then it also sump through here and push the eggs all down through here into a catchment that I could just catch all the eggs.
Wow.
That I wouldn't have to like go in and mess and disturb the breeders to where it was just constantly making eggs. And as far as like what influenced and inspired all that was looking at how they use Daniel breeding for cancer research and how some of their systems were. And that all goes together with the aquariums that I was keeping, or those containers that I keep. That's what they're actually used for. Actually, here's one. They're great for holding screws too. Your hardware.
But those things are awesome.
The carpenter will never leave you, Lucas.
Right.
Those are awesome,
for
man.
Sure.
And you got those like from a lab or something, right?
Automated, more breeding kind of system.
Did you get that from like a lab or a school or something like that?
So I believe it was a university it came from.
Okay.
So they don't sell to the public, or at least they weren't at that time. I think they kind of like finally caught on because a lot of people have been asking for it now. I think they may do some public sales, but which is a good thing. Change that company's whole mind on how they sell. Right. But the only way at the time was to get them was if somebody else had them. So one of their salesmen called me up, like, I know this guy's got like 3 skids of them. It's like, as long as you pay for shipping them, he'll ship them to you. So I just got them for the cost of shipping, which was $700, but still.
Well, yeah. I mean, even if they were $5 a piece, you know, they're way more than $700 worth of product.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I went to Walmart recently and looking at containers like I do for you never know. But
Right.
I found
I've been there.
I found these little fridge trays
Oh,
that
nice.
are, you know, they're perfect for a 20-gallon. If you stick this in a 20-gallon, it'll sit right on top and it goes to the spot right here, basically on these little lips, and it'll stay in a 20-gallon with water in it. So really, it just needs a couple of holes drilled or a slot drilled with whatever filtration, and you can get that little Dean system of, you know, breeding out or growing out your fries.
And you can do a lot with just a tray like that, especially with the clarity of it. That's got nice clarity. You could literally breed tetras and stuff in there. Throw some rocks in there, separate a male and a female tetra for a while. Throw some RO water, copper leaves in there, a little bit of moss.
This is what I was thinking of using for my clown killifish project. You know, start growing them out in here.
Yeah. So with this, also with the system I'm using, I mean, it's kind of the same idea of Dean's. I mean, his sits in a tank of water.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of flow water through it. So it's really the same thing, just different holding method.
Yeah, the water's flowing through it, I think, a little bit better, you know, through a basket like that because it's all around instead of just.
Which I could hook up like air lines or water lines, like a pump into the sump, that big tank, which sump's nothing but another tank. Right. But you could pump that water in. That way it just constantly flows through it. It would make it constantly flow through that if I were to finish it up.
Right. Now that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So I think I've heard you talk about it before, but the reason I ask is because I don't know. You hear people talk about stuff, you know, water, plants, animals, but a lot of it is people that read. Like you say, it's, you know, people do tanks a certain way because they were told to do it for the past 50, 60, 70 years. Your way of doing stuff, it's, you know, it's a lot of trial and error. And it's just like you said a long time ago, which I tried and I've spoke so highly about it. It's just like flipping the switch off. Because when I first heard you say, yeah, I don't do any air, I put like 80 black rose shrimp in a 5-gallon tank and didn't put no air in it. And they were in there like 6 months and everything worked fine. And to this day on my streams, I always say that your way works because I've tried it. Now, with all the stuff that you've done and everything that you're doing now, it doesn't seem like you're a guy that reads books and brings us information. Have you ever thought of, which I'm sure you have, and you'll probably laugh about it, but have you ever thought of writing, I mean, a book or even pamphlets for the fish community that's now people can read your stuff and tell everybody instead of coming on YouTube and saying, hey, this is what I read, or this is a scientist, or this is a doctor, or this is that. But you're a guy that has, you know, a few hundred tanks and that actually does it. And you do stuff that might not ever have been read because you're just like, well, back in the day, 100 years ago, this is how you would have had to do it.
Right.
You know, we're not going, oh, well, what's the book say?
Right.
You know?
I actually do read a lot, and I have taught myself how to speed read too. So if anybody out there like has ever thought about learning how to speed read, definitely do it because it's amazing. Because it really exercises your brain and your eyes.
Oh,
and if you could speed read a book, you could also speed read a room and everything else. So it's really good thing to practice and train yourself for. But I do read books. That's where it got me to a lot of this, that, and the other. But I have thought many a times of making books. It's just time is always my worst enemy. And I have there was a point where I almost had somebody write the book for me.
I was going to say, do a voice thing. Yeah, talk it out like while you're working all day. Talk it out into something and then give it all to somebody and be like, put this into words.
Right. But, you know, that's for me, it's something that I would have to sit down and really structure for myself if I were to want to do it.
Well, you would have to proofread it and approve it. I'm just saying they would be
Right.
able to do it because everything you bring to the hobby, you know, like I said, yeah, okay, you can read it and everything, but you've actually done it. You're not just somebody that sits behind a desk at work and says, you know, hey, I put this together, it should work.
Well, I mean, to be honest, a lot of people really thought I was full of it here the last couple of years because, I mean, they don't really understand what's going on. They're like, oh, what's this guy freaking talking about?
Right.
He's doing this. No, that's not how it works. No,
right.
no,
I'm
no.
sure there's still people today that do that no matter.
Right.
I mean, because they're like, I mean, here's the thing. Seriously. Okay, well, when the stream's over, does he go over there and flip a switch and all this pump stuff comes on? Are they all hidden behind mosses and stuff? But you show the whole tank. I think I've seen a power head out of like 2 tanks out of 100, you know.
Right. Another guy was like, oh, he goes through with the canister filter and polishes them up. Like, yeah, I go around with 1 canister filter in my hundreds of tanks. I got time to do that.
Right. But that's the funny thing is, you know, it's ever since day one, it seems like more stuff disappears out of your fish room every month than ever comes back. Because I remember when I started watching it, there was some sponge filters, they're just shut off. And then the other ones, you had the deli lids, you know, with the bubblers coming up. And now over time, they've just literally disappeared. You got a closet with deli cup lids. They're retired. Everything's retired.
That's a good idea, but they're retired.
Yeah, you've retired everything because you've literally gone from, you know, 80% system of like literally nothing and just some bubbles and a way to stop the splatter to keep your edges nice and clean and stuff and reduce evaporation to where you just said screw it. You just shut it all down and took it all out, and you know, and it's, but that's what I'm saying, from point A to point B that I've been watching, I just see everything disappear. And not only is that a cool thing, but it actually shows people that you can get into the hobbies for like pennies.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't even cost money. And a lot of people don't see that. They don't see behind of what you're trying to show and say. You know, they just go, oh, look, he doesn't have oxygen in his tank. Well, what he's showing you is you don't need to buy a pump. You don't need to buy the tubing. You don't need to buy none of this stuff. Just set the tank up. You know, it's kind of like a father fish deal. Yeah. Put the dirt, put the sand, cap it, make it this thick, and you'll have this incredible tank. Put plants in it, it'd be great.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people don't get that either. They're like, yeah, right. Dirt out of my backyard. You're full of it.
Right,
you know?
right.
But
like they're only able to do that because they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
But really it's not. And that's why, like Wesley's tank, I wanted to show people with Wesley's tank. He put that together himself, like put some sand in there. Like he was able to do it. Like just let the tank take its time. And I'm glad that you see it. And that is what I try to help people with and show them that, hey, you don't need all this, that, and other. And shouldn't it cost you an arm and a leg to even get into the hobby?
Yeah.
And more people that we have keeping, just like plants. Like there's a lot of people who love plants and stuff, just house plants, and they're all over. But I mean, some people may not want to spend thousands or hundreds of dollars just having an aquarium. But you can go to these $1 sales, get the aquarium for cheap, get some sand, get some plants and fish, and you're set. Like you don't even need a light. You can use the sun.
Yeah.
Just shade it, make sure it's not direct. And then the lights, I mean, I use the cheap shop lights under $20 a light.
Well, when I first set up my fish room in my old house, I had put all the money into it, made sure that I got lights, but I went with as cheap as possible. I tried to find different ways to save money, stay on a budget, how to use an air pump for 3 tanks instead of 1 per tank, you know, stuff like that. And did my best, even though I still bought hang on back. I bought canister filters. I bought fluval lights. I bought, you know, the expensive fluorite black sand. You know, I put a lot of money into all of my setups, active substrates, you know, blah, blah, blah. Then my house has its incident where it decides it wants to catch fire.
It was cold.
I went through 2 months with no electricity, no lights, no air, no nothing in those aquariums. And to see how the plants and the fish survived with no electricity, it blew my mind. And I'm sitting there going, how did that happen? And then I was talking to Stephen Conroe because we were good buddies, and he was like, it's the plants, man. He goes, you got all them plants in your aquarium, and it's keeping all the water clean, because it was absolutely beautiful water, clear. And I was like, and I spent all that money and all them pumps and filters and lights. What the?
It's all in that microbiology.
Yeah, it really changed my perspective on. That's why I do think. That's why I try to more and more how to simplify it, because you don't need necessarily everything else if you have the right balance.
Now this brings up a really good question
let me bring something up.
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
No, you go ahead.
No, go.
I was gonna say one thing about having all those no filters, letting Mother Nature do it too. Like the peace and serenity that you get in your fish room, because you're not hearing those pumps, you're not hearing all those bubbles. It's not loud. You don't have all that noise. Like I could hear the timers in this fish room.
You can hear a fish fart.
I could hear a fish fart in here.
The bubble.
Yeah, poop. I could hear it if it did. Which there's just a nice calmness to that, and I think that's very relatable to this hobby.
Now, here's what I wanted to ask is, if you're setting up a tank, and let's say you want to go the filterless, you don't want to do nothing. Can you just do, set the tank up, like squeeze a dirty sponge filter in there, and then put your fish in and go filterless and be good from square one?
Yeah. For the most part.
If you don't have any garbage in your water, no chlorine.
Yeah, I want to do a water change for a while. So if you're just first starting it out, I would wait probably a month till I did my first water change.
Now,
and if I did a water change, it would only be like a 25%.
Now, is that fish too, or are we good to go with fish immediately right after you? If you wait.
Yeah, that's how I do it at the conventions when I set up those tanks.
Yeah.
And you guys seen how many fish and shrimp I throw in those things. But instantly throw the water in there, squeeze that mulm up. I may circle it around a little bit and give it an hour. And then it's pretty much ready to go.
All right. Well, that's good to know. I'm sure a lot of people, that makes them feel good that they can go buy a tank, put substrate in it, get some mulm from the store or somebody they know, just put it in there and throw fish in it, never have to put a filter. Nothing. And they can have super healthy fish.
Yep.
All right. Now, here's a good one. Is there ever a sign to show that you have sick guppies that, I don't know if you've ever had it, that Calaminaris worms or whatever? We had a tank of guppies, and I wanted these cobra guppies. Well, Petco had them, and I told my wife, I was like, these are great guppies. Well, anyways, we went there. They look great. Skinny belly, good bellies, no signs of anything. Well, then, of course, I went against my own rule, didn't quarantine, chucked them in the tank. Over time, the female's belly get big. And my wife's like, oh, look, we're going to have babies. She's squared off really nice, everything. That guppy had a fat gut for I don't know how long, until you could finally see worms coming out of it. Is there any way to know that a guppy has worms? Like, if somebody goes and buys guppies at a pet store and puts them in a tank, is there any way to know? I know that but you say the thing is don't medicate if you don't need to. Is there any way to know if you go to a store and look at guppies, since you do guppies a lot, can you tell by looking at a guppy if possibly they have worms?
It's really hard to tell. You really can't, because even just the eggs, if the eggs of the worms get into them or just a little amount, like that could grow up over time. And you really can't. Like, you could tell like a little bit as far as like the guppy physically, if he's healthy or not, by like maybe the males have a wide body, so maybe there's some kind of infestation going in there or some kind of issue, which even that could just be a air bladder issue. But if there's like you see some that are wasting, or just look in the colony of the tank that you're buying, like not just the 2 that you're looking. Look at everything in the tank in the system. Then you can get a better idea of what you may pick up. And then you can kind of decide whether if not you want to treat them. Plus, I mean, you get familiar with certain stores that you go to over time. And you can kind of tell, like, oh, there's a gamble that I might get this from there. And
yeah, I don't want to talk bad about Petco. It's just, you know, I got them, and they said
it's just, I mean, the wholesaler, like, it's very common. So I mean,
yeah,
Petco's used to it, I'm sure, by now.
Yeah,
because just the way that they turn and burn those fish.
I mean, Luke didn't even want. He's just like, I was like, you want me to get rid of the tank? Yeah. You know, it's just that we haven't had guppies since, but now I got a guy sending me guppies that he breeds, but I want to get, you know, more into guppies and stuff, adding color in here, and just for viewers and stuff, you know, because you go to the store, you bring them home. If you do like you do and rinse them out, kind of rinse their system out. The scary thing is if you don't just put them in a tank with like a bare bottom that's, you know, been around to medicate them, you could put them in a tank and they could have parasites, and then they release them. Then they're grown in the substrate and everything.
Yeah,
now you got to nuke the tank, you know.
Much.
So it's kind of, you know, I don't know if you would say don't buy at a store. Always buy from a hobbyist, you know, when it comes to something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, buying from hobbyists, you're going to have less likely to get something like that if they're doing it right. And that all just gets going to knowing who you're buying with and that kind of stuff. But yeah, you pretty much got to nuke it after that calamus worm. And I always give my fish a month in a quarantine tank. And most of the times I've learned that a quarantine tank just ends up being another new tank anyway.
Tank. Yeah. All right. So you can actually, if you're in a position like that, you can just put a little layer of substrate and stuff, and, you know, just so the bacteria and stuff, the biological part, has a place to grow and live instead of going bottomless.
Yeah. And I mean, you can treat for calamanus worms too. I don't remember what it is, but there is treatments that you can do.
Yeah, but does it work? I don't know. Yeah, they just say don't do it, just get rid of them all. But then you're at a point where, you know, what do you do with them? I mean, look, I fed
right. It's a battle. I think you're better off just like start new for sure.
Yeah.
Because they're already kind of screwed as they are, being infested with the worms, and like, it's unfortunate, but you're better off just cleaning it up. That way you're not spreading it around too.
Right. God, I could go with the bazillion. So you're not so if you move to Florida, your main thing is you're not even going to do shrimp at all, right?
Yeah, I'll do shrimp. I'll still have my Neos, but
right.
I would like to have a Sulawesi tank and a panda tank, like I mentioned.
Well, I got Sulawesi if you need some sweet ones.
Yeah. And I got pandas.
Have you ever seen those blue Sulawesis?
Yeah, the ghosts. Yeah.
That's what I really want.
Here's the thing. Yeah, if you can get those straight, it'd be good. But my Cardinals have blue in their spots. Like, their spots are, some of them are solid blue. And I was just told, don't know. I think they were told too, but I was told that they carry the gene for the ghost. Said, watch, because you might get one, or one day they might start coming out.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but I do notice that some shrimp, you know, like my shadow pandas, that they just, you know, I had extreme black King Kongs. So nothing out, solid black, and just the tips of the tail are white. A lot of people think that even with one stripe, it's an extreme, and it's not. But so they carry the gene. Well, they're the ones that produce all of my extreme black King Kong shadows. So they come out different than a normal black King Kong. They're like, the black on them's incredible. They're like more black. And But what the hell was I gonna say? Oh, they throw now that I've had them so long, they're throwing the extreme shadows. Just those shadows are coming out with the black, like a Missouri type, which you don't see those around a lot. That solid dark blue shadow with the black on the head. So it seems like the longer you keep a shrimp and the generations you breed out, like sneaky stuff can come out that they've never showed before, and you're like, oh my gosh, now I have that.
Yeah, definitely. Like, actually, before I straightened up my line of Blue Dreams, the stuff that used to come out of those was just absolutely crazy, and I kind of wish I still had that messed up colony of those Blue Dreams, because I was getting orange and blue. I was getting blue shrimp with orange stripes down their back.
Wow.
Right.
I was getting all kinds of crazy stuff from the genetics, like from the purple and blue realies, and like if you're not mixing and matching, but because of a lot of reasons why we would get this is because the blues were coming from big cold tanks where they just threw all the shrimp in together, and they would tell everybody not to do it because they'd all turn brown or go wild or something like that. And I was like, man, that's got to be an industry trick to where like they're telling you not to do this because they're doing it themselves.
Right.
And I started doing it myself, and then I started seeing all this other stuff come out. I'm like, yeah, I'm on to you. And then I told the world.
I remember you had like red, white, and blue Neos at once, right?
Yes, I did have that at once. At one point I had the black, red, and blue tricolor Neos. Those were probably my favorite ones I had that were tricolor, and I had like 40 of them going, just nice colony going. But then I brought my shrimp back from the contest and put them in there and crashed the tank.
No.
Yeah, it was horrible. I learned my lesson on that one.
Yeah,
that was a hard lesson.
That'll be chapter 4 in the book.
Yeah, right.
Do you think maybe they were a little stressed out, so it produced a bacteria breakout or something from the move?
I'm not exactly sure what started wiping them out, because they just started dying randomly. It was really weird.
Wow.
Oh,
it wasn't like the water got real cloudy, so it wasn't like some crazy bacteria bloom. Maybe it was just something that they were transmitting to each other. But I don't know. It was really, really weird.
He said, I don't know.
And I have noticed too, like sometimes like with guppies, and this could be possible with shrimp, and it may be a reason why, but I don't know why it would have happened to this tank, because they were taken from this tank. But also, when you try to take guppy colony from one tank and put it into a guppy colony of another tank, they'll often battle each other because they're like, hey, you're not part of our clan.
Yeah.
And then so there'll be a battle. So I think the same thing happens with shrimp as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So if you're really starting off a new tank, like say you get some shrimp from one person, some shrimp from another person, like the reason why you may start getting deaths is they could be battling each other. That's why anytime I start a new shrimp tank, I'll take my best from one colony and then put them all in together.
Right. No, that's interesting. And I kind of agree, but from a different approach, because that's something that I did when I first started out with my shrimp. Was I was just getting them from, wherever I was getting them from and putting them together. And it didn't really work. It didn't work in my favor as far as the offspring. It was shooting all kinds of different. I was like, these aren't breeding true at all. Next thing you know, I have, 10 tanks because I have 10 different strains of shrimp out of one, which is confusing for when you're a beginner. And I was like, well, I got to get more tanks, But then I started buying all my shrimp from the same places. Like I bought everything from Flip, from you, and Aquatic Arts, but I never mixed anything. I kept them in their own tanks because I wanted to be able to have, that was my kind of goal, was to set up a rack with tanks with everybody's different shrimp and kind of have, these are Flips, these are Lucas's, these are that, and these are mine, you know, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I just had more success keeping everything separate than intermixing anything that way. Like you said, start off a new tank, pull the best, and go from there, and not mix. You know, that doesn't work for me.
They'll battle each other. It's crazy.
Wow.
Kind of like two ant colonies meeting.
See, do you see those little Russian comments that come up? Oh, they disappeared.
Oh, see, I can't see any of the comments, actually. I looked in the chat, but there's...
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm in private chat. Well, that's probably why. Now I see some. Oh, my head being stuffed up. It's hard to speed read it all. Does anyone know a good source of cholo wood?
There's
I got cholo wood too, if you need some.
Okay. It's been a while since I've even used that stuff. It's great for shrimp to graze on, though.
Yeah. I like it, and I'm weird because I use it differently than I think most people do. Is I like to use it to put my plants in. My Goose, the Nubius, you know, I like to anchor it into little slots and watch it grow, because for whatever reason, it seems like the cholla wood kind of feeds nutrients to the plants.
And they just for sure.
Grow.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect for that, for sure. And it can root around it easily.
Yeah. And the water flow through the cholla wood keeps the roots nice, you know, like especially plants that you don't want to bury the roots. So I've noticed some of the ferns that I have, like the Bulbitis, it grows well. So does any Goose. It grows really well just putting it in a cholla wood. So that's what I use it for the most. And plus, I can stack it and make little shrimp breeding caves. I haven't had too much issue with them melting away and leaving a bunch of gunk yet. So that's probably why I'm still in favor of them. And I'm sure if I come to a day where they're all melted and rotted and stinky, then I'll be going, I hate this stuff. I'll never use it again.
Well, I can imagine as long as your shrimp colony is big enough to eat any decaying material, you'd never have that issue.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've noticed is in the tanks where the shrimp are cleaning it disappears, but it's not leaving a pile of junk because the shrimp are all...
Yep. So it's like a little house they could eat. It's like they're living in a gingerbread house.
Yeah.
That was my problem, that I had to get away from all that stuff because I was putting leaves in there, that cholla wood. I was putting everything in there, and everything's breaking down. It's not being, you know, you feed too much food, then they're not eating the natural foods that are growing in the tank and on the wood and stuff. And then next thing you know, you just barely touch the substrate and it just goes everywhere. And you just, you know, it's just so disgusting. So I was like, all right, so I took it all out. I don't use leaves anymore. I don't use cholla wood anymore. Because I just want them to do, you know, live as normal as possible. So I put wood in there, let them eat, you know, the algae and biofilms and stuff. And, you know, because I've been thinking, I brought this idea up. I don't know if, I think I might have asked you about this, about using, no, I don't think so. Have you ever used grapevine?
I have not used grapevine, but I can imagine what it'd be like.
Or that other stuff that they sell. It looks like roots. I can't remember the name of it. But when you put it in the water, grapevine, when I had my discus business over there, my buddy at the store gave me a big, huge piece. It looked like a log, you know, and he's like, yeah, it's great. You know, it'd take a while to sink. I put it in there and it had a 1/2 inch of this algae. It was back, or, you know, the biofilm. Biofilm grew on there so bad, you know, and I was like, man, what is this? So I took it back. I said, dude, I don't know what this is, but I don't want it. Get rid. You know, he's like, oh, it's just biofilm. It'll go away. So I brought it back and did it again. I was like, I don't want this stuff in my tank. And now I think, I wonder if I was to get that, cut pieces, because my buddy, you know, they sell it for amphibians and stuff. If I was to cut it in pieces and drop it in the tank and leave it, all that biofilm just grows like a big ball. If that'd be positive for the shrimp.
Oh yeah, definitely. Manzanita wood's actually really notorious.
Manzanita, that's it. Yes, because my buddy, he set up a shrimp area in his store just for my shrimp. And he put manzanita in every tank, and he sells everything in those tanks. But the center tank got so full of that biofilm. He said, give me it was like 150 fire reds. So I took him 150 fire reds, and like 3 days later, it looked like he just set the tank up.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God. So that's where my thought comes in about that grapevine is, I mean, you can get it in almost any pet store that carries like lizard stuff and everything. And I was just wondering if it would be positive or if there's something in it that could, hurt something because it's mainly used for dry tanks.
Yeah, I can imagine it'd be positive. I mean, only way real way to know is to test that yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But you can, I mean, you buy a piece, you can chop it up and then cut those in half. I mean, because it creates so much.
Right. So you make them call them shrimp bones. You know how you throw a dog a bone?
Yeah.
Throw the shrimp a bone,
Yeah. That's a good idea. Go get my table saw. Start grafting pieces out on my jigsaw and stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, shape them out. Get a mold. The way you just press it out.
Right. Yeah. Shrimpy bones. Yeah, because I started my sponsor, Blue Crown, sends me, he's got these beneficial bacteria bags. He really doesn't put a name on them, but he gets them, he's Taiwanese. He gets them from Taiwan, and he sent them to me to sell them and to try out. It's another product. Well, I try the products out before I sell them. And I mean, they're on it all day long. I got a boa tank, and they're just, I mean, the small shrimp are on it all day long. The adults go on it, but they eat, other stuff in the tank. They're more grazers, but that bag is just covered all day.
Nice.
From like 10 to 50 baby shrimp, not shrimplets, but, semi-adults all day long. So
if they're on it, I mean, it sounds like it works good.
Yeah,
that's proof's in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's supposed to grow that bacterial little halo around it so you can just feed all day. The stuff, whatever's in that bag, it's supposed to, I guess it's a lot of tree stuff, and it's supposed to promote that, that growth so you can sit and feed on it all day. And it's supposed to promote them having babies and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've sold a ton of it, but it's like, I want to use it and make sure, I'm selling something and bragging about something that works, and it's not just a gimmick, So that's what we do a lot here. We run a lot of products through, test a lot of stuff out, and try to use everything before we, talk it up and stuff. Like liquid GH, I don't use the powder anymore because it's too hard to tweak in. If I could put a drop or two and bring it up, 1 ppm, I can't do that with powder. It's too hard. I'd be sitting there counting granules, So we use that, live bacteria, but it's all liquid stuff now. It's all concentrated from Taiwan, and it's just easier, to use that stuff. So we use that all the time. I've been using it, I don't know, a year and a half with great success. I use cheap substrate. The stuff that people say, isn't very good, and I do really good with it, but I try to do, even though I'm not on your level, I try to do what you do and bring positive information to people that are just getting in so they don't go, God, I got to pay how much to get this up and running, so.
Right.
Commence. I got something dripping. I'm doing water changes. I don't know if water overflowed or what.
Uh-oh.
Pay attention, Brian.
I thought I caught it right at the top of the tank, but some of it might overflowed.
You need to add another thing I do to your shirt. Spill water all over the floor.
Yeah. The nightmare before Christmas, you overflow your tanks.
All right, Lucas. I got a tough question for you. So I'm just asking this because I think it's funny. I've heard people say things and it makes me wonder. So do you, as a fish keeper, shrimp keeper, hobbyist, professional, do you also enjoy seafood and seafood
Oh
products?
yeah. Yeah, that's
Okay,
the
is
reason why
that
we want to
weird?
move to Florida, because I love to eat fish and seafood, and like really as a diet, that's what my body really craves.
Right. Well, I was wondering because I've been eating a lot of fish and shrimp and stuff lately, crabs, and like when we were in Florida earlier in the year last year, that's me and Jason went to one of those seafood buffets out there and just oh man, we just overloaded, made ourselves sick almost eating so many crab legs and shrimp and everything. But I was sitting there thinking that we're people from a fish show, we're fish vendors and everything, and here we are like cannibals. Nom, 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 nom.
Right, right.
It can't be too much different from cattle farmers that like burgers and steak, you know?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of true. It's kind of weird to think about it that way. But I mean, I've seen shrimp eat themselves too. I've seen them go cannibals. So, I mean,
oh, yeah.
I actually was a vegan for a while. And then I realized I'm feeding my fish meal. I'm feeding them bits of fish and meat and stuff and all that. Like, how can I sit there and be a vegan and be saying, oh, yeah, I'm saving the world and myself or something, but yet I'm feeding my fish meal and everything else. And I was like, man, I want a burger again. Meanwhile, it's been a while since I've been vegan.
All right, cool. I've always wondered the opposite, that if people are vegan, which I know there are many, so it's not to be offensive, but if you're vegan and you change your pet, you're like your dog or your cat, into a vegan because it's healthier for them, is it really? Because now you're taking them against exactly what they do in nature, and they only eat vegetables. Yeah, they're gonna die, aren't they?
Right. I mean, your gut biome is a huge part of your body and just your systems, how everything runs through your gut. They say it's like a second brain, you know?
Right.
And that's the same with animals too. You start messing with it to where it's not natural. It can control you. It can do things. It can switch you up.
I've seen a lot of stuff on that where it just makes me scratch my head, where it's all vegetable products, and it shows, you know, a dog whose close relative is a wolf that, you know, eats meat, you know, red meat eater. And so you would think that giving them those kinds of food, it might mess with their reproduction, their health or something, just because they're not getting normal proteins and stuff that
a lot of it's balance. Is like you got to keep the moderation. Like even animals like dogs and cats, they'll still go out there and eat grass, but then they'll also eat meat. So there's a little bit of both going on there. Right. And that's what it's all about, is just having that balance. It's easy to go to one side or the other, but you really got to think about in between to really tune yourself.
I know, I got to eat more vegetables. Okay, stop it.
Or just put some toppings on your burgers, like some lettuce and some.
Right, that makes it healthy. I put lettuce and tomatoes.
Like I got a salad on the top of it.
Yeah, and if you cook it in an air fryer these days, those things are incredible.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Dude, if you don't have an air fryer, oh my gosh, it'll change your whole life.
Yeah,
I don't do a lot of cooking.
I told my wife, I said, soon there's not even going to be a stove, because they have like air fryer, microwave type deals. I mean, it's incredible to be able to take something and not cook it in oil, like French fries, chicken. Like if you let's just say you get chicken from some place, we won't give a name. And let's say, you eat it throughout the day. It's sitting in the fridge. And you're like, man, I'd like another piece, but it's a little soggy from sitting in the fridge. You could put that in there once it warms up for like a minute and a half, and it'll be crispier than when you bought it. It is so good. Reheating pizza. It's like my wife can't stop cooking with it.
You're going to make me hungry, Brian. Damn it.
Interesting. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everything fresh. You could put veggies in it. Everything. I mean, and it cooks it like that. we do everything. Like, you know, if Luke wants, let's say, bagel bites, no, just put your hand over the net like that. You want me to do it? You got them in the net? Hold on, I gotta go get some gulper fit cats. Put them in the bucket.
So you don't have an air fryer?
No, I don't have an air fryer. You guys are talking foreign to me right now. I don't do much in the kitchen.
Yeah, they have them now. I don't have one yet, but I've used them, and they're pretty cool. I mean, it's just like a toaster oven on steroids.
Yeah, isn't it like a conventional oven kind of ideology? Yeah, I've seen like about them. Like I can cook and stuff, but it's not something I like to do. Like I love to eat, but food always tastes better when somebody else makes it.
Well, I love to cook, so that's one of the things that I enjoy, especially because I had 3 boys and they eat like an army. So cooking was something that I had to get good at and cook big meals for 3 growing boys.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I remember when I was a growing boy. It was not easy to keep me fed. My poor parents.
I almost went bankrupt every summer. It was stupid crazy when they'd come home and they'd be there for the entire summer. And I'd buy like one of those huge giant jars of pickles, whole pickles, and they'd get those things and in a day it would be gone, the entire thing. I'm like, what did you do? They're like, we need some more pickles, Dad. Well, I just bought you 14 frozen pizzas too. We ate those, Dad. Okay. But yeah, so you gotta have to learn how to cook and cook. I got one of those food saver things because I learned how to cook enough and then also cook extras and then save it in the food saver, throw it in the freezer. So that way, when they were hungry, I got a quick meal. There's a whole bag of spaghetti in there. Grab that.
Yeah, I need you talking to Sarah. No, I mean, I actually I do like to make food. Like, I could get into it, but it's one of those time things for me.
Oh yeah,
I'm really you've got to set up time to cook and even think about what you're cooking and all that kind of stuff. And with this lifestyle, it's just every forethoughts towards this direction.
Oh yeah, and that was something that I always, even when I do it now in my house, the kitchen's on the other side of the house, and I don't have a stove in this house, so I have a microwave oven and I have a little hot plate, a skillet thing that I use. But even when I'm cooking like bacon and stuff, I'm always wondering if the bacon grease smoke that's flying through the house, if it's getting into the aquariums, into the pump system, stuff like that. It always makes me wonder, how much does stuff like that affect?
Probably making your shrimp hungry.
No wonder all the fish are at the glass on the top looking at me. Food, bacon. Maybe they like bacon too.
But yeah, I mean, it'll stick to the glass. That's about it, I think. It won't hurt your tank.
What pig, yeah?
I just always wondered about stuff like that, If somebody is a smoker and they're like, well, no, I'm not going to smoke in my fish room because I don't want to contaminate my fish room. Well, then if you're cooking in your house and does that contaminate your fish room too? It would make sense that it's still, even though it's not nicotine, it's still whatever burn off that's flying in the air in your house from whatever you're cooking.
Well, just like if you go into a kitchen where they cook tons of bacon, there's grease on things.
Bacon!
It'll get all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure it doesn't mess with the water. Oh, no, I didn't click you guys off, did I?
Oh, no.
Hello.
Huh?
Oh, I see you there. We hear you.
There we go. I was trying to read the chat.
He was trying to find a quick way to sneak out, Luke.
Right.
Brian. He's like, oh, oops, did I hit the wrong button?
Oopsie. We'll probably have to hop off here soon, though. My
it's
stuffiness
getting
is
almost
really
2
starting to
hours.
bother me.
I got
Been
you.
dealing with
I
a
really
head cold
appreciate you
for like
coming
the
up.
last week.
I got you. I'm still trying to get over that COVID crap that I had over Christmas and New Year's. It was rough, man.
Very rough. Like I said, 6 weeks. When I started the power plant, we have to go in this one area that's really dangerous. It's got really high dose is what they call it. It's the byproduct of, it's stuff that floats through the air, everything. But anyways, the elevator's not working. So you have to dress up in all these clothes, put that big white suit on, so the stuff doesn't get on your skin. Go all the way down like 7 flights. And then they have these tanks down there. It's what you would think is a tank. I'm not exactly sure what's in it, but they're massive. And there's about 1.5 to 2 foot between the bottom of it and the floor. All concrete and stuff. And it's paint. Well, you got to get to a ladder. Well, the ladder out front to go up is shut off due to, they haven't red tagged. So you got to crawl on your belly and go over to these and go to these ladders in the back. And then they're barrel ladders. So I'm jammed up, can't breathe, trying to go up and down. Hey, I feel like I'm 95, and then I got to walk the stairs all the way up. My chest is so tight. I'm like, I'm not that old. What's going on? And it's all this because it just the breathing got so bad, to where if it was anything, okay. Yeah, they're the same. Then put them in. The breathing got so bad to where I was just like, oh my gosh, I hope this goes away soon. And it's really not me. Now I'm like running up and down stairs. So if that's what you have, my advice to you is stay really moving to get it out of you and to keep your breathing up. Because if not, it'll keep you down. It sucks. Your dog's telling you to shut up, right? She's got a
Papa just had to put that up there.
Yeah. I didn't say it. It was all fish tropic, man.
Right.
Yeah. But hey, I need to get off of here. We've kept you on for almost 2 hours. I mean, you could stay on, but I gotta take care of some stuff. I only got a day and a half to do stuff, but I appreciate all of your time, dude. I can't believe that almost 2 years later, we got you up on here and, it's,
glad we got to finally do this.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool
for a minute.
Yeah. It's just, I don't like to stick my neck out there and ask people that I respect to do stuff when I know you're so busy. Cause it's like, not only do you do that, but you have a family, you got a lot of stuff going on. You want to move. And it's like, man, it's very valuable. Your time is very valuable, and I appreciate everything that you've done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. And I really enjoy doing this, and maybe we could do it again sometime.
That would be cool. Maybe, after you're settled in your hot tropical area, we'll knock on your door again and see if you'll come on here again with us.
Right.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Lucas.
All right.
Tell your family we said hi.
Yeah, tell Sarah I say hello.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do.
All right. See ya.
Later.
Well, cool deal, Brian.
Very good. Yeah. Did you stop the stream?
No, not yet. We're still on with everybody else. I just wanted to.
Well, wrap up. I wanted to say goodbye to everyone else too in the chat because I didn't do that. That's why I was making sure. But it was that was a blast. It's like, but we're to the point now to where everything's being moved and she needs help, and and Lucas seemed like he was that cold is really getting him, and we don't want to keep him on here too long if he's suffering. So, but having him on here, God, that was that's a once in a lifetime thing, but hopefully the lifetime will happen again. So.
Oh yeah, you heard him. We'll get him back. We'll do it again.
And having everybody in here was super cool. So we hope everyone had a good time. And
thank you very much.
if you guys got any other questions that you want Lucas to answer, possibly, you can leave them in the comments of this stream, and he's connected to it. So he'll get all the stream stuff. So he'll be able to answer any questions or anything you guys have after the stream. So, you can come back to it any time. So, but yeah, thanks for everybody being in here. It was super, super cool. And
we did it all for you, Brian, since you couldn't be here.
I was going to say thank you for doing it on Saturdays, since I was able to get this day off and come hang out with you guys, since I'm not able to do Wednesdays right now. I really appreciate you stretching things out and working with me here. So thank you, sir.
All right, man. Well, everybody, thank you for hanging out with us here on Keeping It Shrimple Saturday with Lucas. It was awesome. We'll see you again next time. Much love, much respect. See you.
See you, everybody.